The ground shook as another explosion rocked the defense center. Commander Jake Morrison pressed his back against the concrete wall, feeling the building tremble around him. Blood ran down his face from a cut on his forehead, and his left arm hung at an odd angle. The smell of smoke and burning metal filled the air. Through the broken windows, you could see the alien ships floating in the sky like dark clouds. Their weapons had been firing for 3 hours straight. The human colony of New Denver was dying, and Jake knew it. The screams from outside had stopped 20 minutes ago. It was never a good sign. Lieutenant Amy Carter crawled across the floor. Toward him, her scanner beeping softly in her hand. Her uniform was torn and dirty, and she had a nasty burn on her neck. She reached Jake and pressed the scanner against his chest. "Still alive, sir?" she whispered. "Barely." Jake managed a weak smile. "How many others?" Amy checked her scanner again. 12 in this building, maybe 50 across the whole colony. She paused and looked at the numbers again. 50 people left out of 12,000. The alien ships outside made a low humming sound as they moved closer to the ground. Jake could hear their landing platforms extending with mechanical clicks and whirs. Soon, alien soldiers would come inside to check for survivors. They always did that after an attack. "I think they won," Jake said quietly. Amy looked confused. "Sir, they did win. Look around us." Jake turned his head to look at her. Despite the pain in his body, his eyes were clear and focused. "Did they?" Before Amy could answer, the main door to the defense center exploded inward. 3 alien soldiers walked through the smoke and dust. They were Zephyrians, tall insect-like creatures with 4 arms and black eyes that covered half their faces. Their armor was green and silver, and it made clicking sounds when they moved. The lead Zephyrian carried a weapon that looked like a twisted piece of metal with lights along its side. It spoke in a voice that sounded like grinding gears. "Humans, you will surrender now." Jake tried to stand up, but his injured arm made him fall back down. "We surrender," he said in a weak voice. The Zephyrian made a sound that might have been laughter. "Your species fought well. For insects." It walked closer to Jake. "You are the commander of this place?" "I was," Jake said. "Not much left to command now." The alien nodded. "Our ships detected your last transmission 6 hours ago. You called for help from your fleet. It made that grinding laugh sound again. No help came. Your species is alone now." Amy moved closer to Jake, trying to help him sit up. The Zephyrian watched them with its black eyes. "Your Admiral Sullivan abandoned you. Your fleet ran away when our ships arrived. Very human behavior." Jake closed his eyes for a moment. When he opened them, there was something different about his expression. Something that made Amy look at him with surprise. "You monitored our transmissions?" Jake asked. "Of course." "No." "We heard you begging for rescue. We heard your admiral tell you that no help was coming. We heard you cry like human children." Jake nodded, slowly. "And you believed every word." The Zephyrian's head tilted to one side. "What do you mean?" "I mean," Jake said, his voice getting stronger, "that you're exactly as stupid as we hoped you would be." The alien raised its weapon, but Jake continued talking. "Spent 6 months chasing us from planet to planet. You destroyed our cities, killed our people, and celebrated each victory. You followed us here to New Denver because you thought this was our last stronghold?" Amy stared at Jake. She had never heard him talk like this before. "You monitored our communications," Jake continued. "You heard us call for help. You heard our admiral refuse to come. You heard us prepare for our last stand." He looked directly at the Zephyrian. "You heard exactly what we wanted you to hear." The alien's weapon began to glow. "You lie. We destroyed your species." Jake tried to stand again, and this time Amy helped him. He was still weak, but he managed to get to his feet. "No," he said. "You destroyed empty colonies. You killed volunteers who stayed behind to make noise. You chased shadows while the real prey slipped away." "Impossible," the Zephyrian said. "We scanned your worlds. We detected millions of humans. You detected what we wanted you to detect." Jake said, "Have you ever seen a human magic show? It's all about making the audience look at the wrong thing while the real trick happens somewhere else." The alien's weapon was glowing brighter now. Your world's burned. Your people died. We saw them. Jake's smile was getting wider. Some of them were real. People who volunteered to stay behind and play their parts. Heroes who gave their lives. To sell the illusion. He paused. But most of what you saw was fake. Holographic projections, recorded voices. Empty buildings made to look full. Amy felt her heart beating faster. She was beginning to understand what Jake was saying. The real human colonies, Jake continued. The ones with our families and our children and our future, they were evacuated months ago. They're somewhere you'll never find them. Somewhere beyond the rim, in systems your maps don't even know exist. Zephyrian made an angry buzzing sound. You lie to save your worthless life? I'm going to die here, Jake said calmly. We all are. That was always the plan. But our deaths will mean something, because while you were busy hunting us, Admiral Sullivan was preparing something special for you and your friends. The alien's weapon was now bright enough to hurt their eyes. What preparation? Jake's smile became a grin. It's a kind that turns predators into prey. Through the broken windows, they could hear more alien ships landing. The Zephyrian spoke into a communication device on its arm. Jake couldn't understand the words, but he could hear the excitement in the alien's voice. It was reporting the conversation to its superiors. They're going to want to know more, Jake said to Amy. They're going to want to understand what I meant. It's going to keep them here longer. Amy realized what he was doing. You're stalling them. Every minute we keep them here is another minute for the real plan to work, Jake said. Every second they waste trying to figure out what we're up to is time they don't have. Finished its communication and turned back to them. Will tell us where your people went. You will tell us about this, Admiral Sullivan. You'll tell us everything. Jake leaned against the wall, looking tired but satisfied. I'll tell you something better. Let's tell you about the moment when your entire coalition realizes they've been played by a species they thought was primitive. More alien soldiers entered the room. These were different species. Some looked like walking crystals. Others were floating balls of gas held together by mechanical suits. They were all part of the coalition that had been hunting humans across the galaxy. You see, Jake said, looking at all of them, you made one big mistake. You assumed that because humans look weak, we think like weak creatures. You thought that because we seemed scattered and afraid, we were actually scattered and afraid. The crystal alien spoke with a voice like breaking glass. Human deception is known to us. We prepared for your lies. You prepared for small lies, Jake said. Little tricks and false signals. You never prepared for the possibility that everything you knew about us was one giant lie. You never considered that an entire species might be better at acting than why. You were at seeing through the act. The gas alien floated closer. Prove your words human. Show us this deception. Jake looked at Amy, and she saw something in his eyes that made her understand. He wasn't just talking to buy time. He was genuinely enjoying this moment. After months of running and hiding and watching his people die, he was finally able to tell their enemies the truth. The proof, Jake said, is already on its way. 3 days before the attack on New Denver, Admiral Kate Sullivan stood in the command center of the UES Defiance. The ship was hidden in the shadow of a dead moon, far from any trade routes or patrol paths. Around her, dozens of officers worked, quietly at their stations, their faces lit by the soft glow of their screens. Kate was a tall woman with gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. She had been fighting aliens for 15 years, and she had learned that the best way to win a war was to make your enemy think they were winning it. Colonel Ryan Hayes walked up to her with a datapad in his hand. He was younger than Kate, with brown hair and a serious expression. Admiral, the final reports are in. Operation Mirage is ready. Kate took the pad and read through the numbers. All civilian populations evacuated? Yes, ma'am. The last transport ships left the rim colonies yesterday. Everyone is safely hidden in the new settlements beyond the galactic edge. Kate nodded. And our volunteer units? In position on all target worlds. They know their mission. Ryan paused. They know they're not coming back. Kate looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there, brave men and women were preparing to die so that humanity could live. People like Jake Morrison, who had volunteered to stay behind and play the part of a desperate commander making a last stand. They're heroes, Kate said quietly. Every one of them. Dr. Lisa Park approached them from across the room. She was a small woman with red hair and glasses, but her mind was one of the sharpest in the fleet. For 3 years she had been studying alien psychology, learning how each species thought and what made them act. Admiral Lisa said, "I've finished the behavioral analysis of the coalition species. Everything is ready for the final phase." Kate turned to face her. "Tell me about them." Lisa pulled up a hologram from her tablet. It showed the 12 alien species that had formed the coalition against humanity. They're all different, but they share one important weakness. They all think they're superior to humans. The hologram focused on the Zephyrians first. They looked like giant insects with 4 arms and black eyes. The Zephyrians are the leaders of the coalition. They believe intelligence comes from physical strength. They think humans are weak because we're smaller than them. The image changed to show the Vorthok crystal beings that sparkled in the light. The Vorthok are mathematicians. They calculate everything. They think humans are stupid because we make decisions based on emotion instead of pure logic. Next came the Nexari, floating balls of gas held together by mechanical suits. The Nexari are artists. They create beautiful things and think that makes them better than everyone else. They see humans as ugly and simple, Lisa continued, through all 12 species, explaining their cultures and their weaknesses. Each one believed they were superior to humans in some way. Each one had blind spots that could be exploited. The beautiful thing, Lisa said, is that their arrogance makes them predictable. The Zephyrians will always choose the most violent solution. The Vorthok will always trust their calculations over their instincts. The Nexari will always want to make their victories look artistic. Kate smiled. And we've been giving them exactly what they expect. For 6 months, Lisa confirmed. Every battle, every retreat, every desperate transmission has been designed to feed their assumptions about us. They think they're hunting down the last remnants of human civilization. Ryan pulled up another display. The coalition has spread, their forces across 47 star systems. They're trying to claim every human world at once. Their fleets are scattered and overextended. Kate studied the tactical display. Red dots showed alien positions, while blue dots showed the real human fleet. The aliens thought they were chasing a broken and desperate enemy. In reality, they were being led into a trap. Dr. Parkade said, "Explain the psychological warfare aspect." Lisa nodded. "We've been feeding them false information for months. Every intercepted transmission, every captured data core, every prisoner they've taken has told them the same story. Humanity is on the verge of collapse. Our fleet is small and weak. Our people are scared and divided." "But that's not true," Ryan said. "Of course not," Lisa replied. "Our real fleet is twice the size it was when the war started. Our people are united and determined, and our technology has advanced by decades thanks to captured alien equipment." Kate walked to the main display screen. It showed the current positions of all human forces. Most of the fleet was hidden in systems the aliens didn't know existed. Strike teams were positioned near every major alien world. Support ships were ready to move at a moment's notice. "The aliens think they're fighting a war of extermination," Kate said. "They believe they're hunting down the last humans in the HFY galaxy. They don't realize they're being herded into position for their own destruction." A communication officer called out from across the room. "Admiral, we're receiving the signal from Commander Morrison on New Denver." Kate turned to the officer. "Put it through." Jake Morrison's voice came through the speakers. He sounded tired and defeated, exactly as he was supposed to. "Admiral Sullivan, this is Commander Morrison. The alien fleet has arrived. We're under heavy attack. Request immediate support." Kate picked up the microphone. She made her voice sound cold and distant. "Negative, Commander. The fleet cannot spare any ships. You're on your own. Admiral, please. We have civilians here. Children. We can't hold out much longer. I'm sorry, Commander. Earth Command has made the decision. New Denver's not strategically important. You have your orders." There was a long pause. Then Jake's voice came back, sounding broken. "Understood, Admiral. We'll do what we can." Morrison out. Kate set down the microphone. The entire command center was quiet. Everyone knew the transmission was fake, but it still hurt to hear Jake sound so hopeless. "The aliens will intercept that," Ryan said. "They already have," Kate replied. "There." Listening posts picked up every word. "They now believe that human command is willing to abandon its own people to save resources." Lisa pulled up another display. "This fits perfectly with their psychological profile of us. They think humans are selfish and cowardly. They believe we'll sacrifice others to save ourselves." Kate looked at the tactical display again. "What they don't realize is that every abandoned colony has been evacuated. Every desperate last stand has been performed by volunteers. Every defeat has been carefully planned." Dr. Park touched her tablet, and the display changed to show alien communication intercepts. Their own messages confirm it. They're completely convinced that they're winning. Zephyrian Hive Lord Crystal has already started planning victory celebrations. "Let him celebrate," Kate said. "In 3 days, he'll understand what real defeat looks like." Ryan checked his watch. "The new Denver operation should be starting soon." Kate nodded. "Commander Morrison and his team will keep the alien fleet busy. For several hours, they'll make it look like a real battle, complete with desperate calls for help and heroic last stands." "And while the aliens are focused on New Denver?" Lisa asked. "It's 2 begins," Kate said. "Strike teams hit every major alien world simultaneously. Not to destroy them, but to create panic. To make the alien fleets abandon their positions and rush home to defend their families." The communication officer called out again. "Admiral, all strike teams report ready. Captain Johnson's team is in position at the Zephyrian homeworld. Lieutenant Commander Rodriguez has reached the Vorthok Crystal Farms. All other teams are standing by." Kate looked around the command center. These people had been working for months to prepare for this moment. They had planned every detail, anticipated every alien response, and prepared for every possible outcome. "The aliens think they're superior to us," Kate said. "They think they understand how humans fight. They believe that because we seem emotional and unpredictable, we can't plan complex operations." She walked to the center of the room. "They're about to learn that the most dangerous thing about humans isn't our technology or our weapons. Our ability to think like our enemies while making them think we're something completely different." Ryan smiled. "They have no idea what's coming." Kate looked at the main display one more time. Soon, the red dots representing alien fleets would start moving. They would rush to defend their homeworlds, abandoning their positions in human space. And when they did, the real human fleet would emerge from hiding to reclaim everything that had been lost. "No," Kate said quietly. "They have no idea at all." Captain Steve Johnson crouched behind a maintenance panel on the Zephyrian homeworld's largest orbital shipyard. The massive structure floated in space above the insect-like aliens' planet, building new warships for their fleet. Hiding inside the shipyard for 3 weeks, waiting for this moment. His earpiece crackled with a quiet voice. "Phoenix 1, this is Command. Operation Mirage is active. Begin Phase 2. Steve pressed his throat mic. "Copy, Command." "Phoenix 1. Beginning run." He pulled out a small device that looked like a metal box with blinking lights. Dr. Park had explained that it was a nanovirus. It's designed specifically to attack Zephyrian computer systems. The aliens used biological circuits in their technology, thinking it made them superior to purely mechanical systems. They were about to learn why that was a mistake. Steve crawled through the maintenance tunnel toward the shipyard's main computer core. Around him, he could hear the sounds of Zephyrian workers building new ships. They clicked and buzzed as they worked, completely unaware that a human was moving through their most secure facility. On the other side of the galaxy, Lieutenant Commander Nina Rodriguez was swimming through the crystal caves of the Vorthok homeworld. The entire planet was made of living crystal that the aliens used to power their technology. Nina wore a special suit that let her breathe underwater while she planted her own surprise. The Vorthok had built their civilization around mathematical perfection. Every crystal formation was calculated to exact specifications. Every energy, Flow was measured and controlled. They believed that precision was the key to superiority over chaotic species like humans. Nina reached the main crystal cluster and pulled out a small vial of liquid. The contents looked harmless, but Dr. Park had designed it to be the Vorthek's worst nightmare. It was a biological agent that would cause their crystals to grow in random patterns. Destroying the mathematical harmony they valued so much, she poured the liquid into the crystal formation's nutrient flow. Within hours, the infection would spread through every crystal on the planet. Vorthok would lose their power source and their sense of order at the same time. Meanwhile, on 12 other worlds, human strike teams were carrying out similar operations. Each attack was tailored to the specific psychology of the alien species they were targeting. The gaseous Nexari would find their artistic creations turning ugly and chaotic. The militaristic Korgans would discover their weapons turning against them. Every species would face their worst fears made real. Back on New Denver, Jake Morrison was still talking to his alien captors. The Zephyrian commander had called in specialists from other species to question the human prisoners. They wanted to understand what Jake had meant about Admiral Sullivan's preparation. "Your admiral has no fleet," the Crystal Vorthok said, with its glass-like voice. "Our calculations show human military capacity at 12% of pre-war levels." Leaned against the wall, still smiling despite his injuries. "Your calculations are based on what you could see. Did you ever consider that maybe we didn't want you to see everything?" The floating Nexari made a sound like wind chimes. "Impossible. Our surveillance networks are perfect. We monitored every human world, every human ship, every human transmission." "Monitored what we let you monitor," Jake said. "Tell me, when you were watching our worlds, did you ever actually count individual humans? Or did you just scan for energy signatures that looked like human settlements?" The aliens looked at each other. The Zephyrian spoke first. "We detected massive population centers, millions of humans on each world. Energy signatures," Jake repeated. "Light, communication signals, all the things that a big city would produce." He paused. "All the things that a really good holographic projector would produce." Amy Carter was starting to understand the full scope of what humanity had done. They hadn't just faked their weakness. They had faked their entire civilization. "You're saying the cities were fake?" she asked. "Most of them," Jake confirmed. "We kept some real settlements running, with real people, to make the illusion convincing. But the majority of what the aliens saw was just light shows and recorded sounds." The Vorthok's crystal body flickered with angry colors. "Our sensors detected human biosignatures, living beings. Some of them were real," Jake said. "Volunteers who stayed behind to sell the deception, but most of what you detected was just biological material. Hair, skin cells, DNA samples. We scattered them around the fake cities to make your sensors happy." The Nexari floated closer. "Where are the real humans?" Jake's smile grew wider. "Somewhere you'll never find them. Beyond the rim, in star systems that don't exist on any of your maps. Building new worlds, new fleets, new weapons. Getting ready for the real war." At that moment, alarms began sounding throughout the alien ship. The Zephyrian commander pressed a communication device to its head, listening to rapid reports in its own language. Its black eyes grew wider with each word. "What's happening?" the Vorthok demanded. The Zephyrion's voice was shaking. "Attacks. Simultaneous attacks on all coalition homeworlds. Human forces have struck our most important facilities." An Nexari spun in the air, its gas form swirling with panic. "How many humans? What size fleet?" "Unknown," the Zephyrian replied. "The attacks appear to be small teams, not full fleets. But they're hitting targets we thought were impossible to reach." Jake began to laugh. It was a sound that made all the aliens step back. "You still don't understand. This isn't about fleet, size, or firepower. This is about knowing your enemy better than they know themselves." On the Zephyrian homeworld, Steve Johnson had reached the main computer core. Though the chamber was huge, filled with biological processors that pulsed with green light. He connected his virus device to the main terminal and pressed the activation button. The effect was immediate. The biological circuits began to convulse and change color. Alarms started blaring throughout the shipyard. Steve could hear Zephyrian voices shouting in panic as their systems began to fail. Phoenix 1-2 command, he whispered into his mic. Package delivered. Shipyard systems are going down. Through the chamber's windows, he could see the partially built warships losing power. Their lights flickered and died. The construction equipment stopped moving. The pride of the Zephyrian fleet was being crippled by a device no bigger than a lunchbox. On the Vorthok homeworld, Nina Rodriguez was swimming back toward her extraction point when the crystals around her began to change. The perfect geometric patterns started to warp and twist. The mathematical harmony that the Vorthok prized above all else was dissolving into chaos. Mermaid 2 to command, she reported. Crystal network is compromised. The Vorthok are going to hate this. Similar reports came in from strike teams across the galaxy. The Nexari artistic centers were producing hideous sculptures instead of beautiful ones. The Korgan weapon factories were manufacturing guns that exploded when fired. The Thornax food production facilities were creating meals that tasted like garbage. Each attack was designed not just to cause damage, but to create maximum psychological impact. Dr. Park had studied each species for years, learning what they valued most. Then she had found ways to destroy those values. Back on New Denver, the alien commanders were receiving more and more panicked reports. The Zephyrian was clicking its mandibles in distress. The Vorthek's crystal body was flickering rapidly. The Nexari was spinning like a tornado. This is impossible, the Zephyrian said. Human strike teams cannot penetrate our most secure facilities. Our homeworlds are protected by multiple fleet groups. Jake nodded. They were protected. But you pulled most of your fleets away to hunt down the last humans. You left skeleton crews to guard your most important worlds. He paused. You fell for the oldest trick in the book. You saw what you wanted to see and ignored what was really happening. The Vorthok made a sound like breaking glass. Our mathematical models predicted human behavior perfectly. We're supposed to be desperate and chaotic. We were desperate, Jake said. Desperate to make you think we were beaten. As for chaotic, well, there's a difference between being chaotic and appearing chaotic. We've been planning this for months. More alarms sounded. The Nexari received a communication that made its gas form turn dark with fear. The other coalition fleets are requesting immediate support. They're abandoning their positions to return to their homeworlds. Jake's smile became triumphant. And there it is, the moment we've been waiting for. Your fleets are scattered. Your homeworlds are under attack. Your perfect coalition is falling apart. The Zephyrian raised its weapon. We still have the fleets here. We can still destroy humanity. What humanity? Jake asked. You destroyed empty worlds and fake cities. The real humans are safe beyond the rim, now that your fleets are running. Home to Mama, they're about to come out and reclaim everything you thought you had conquered. Amy Carter looked at Jake with new understanding. The whole war was fake. Not fake, Jake corrected. It's just not what it appeared to be. Every battle, every retreat, every desperate call for help was designed to make the aliens overconfident. We let them think they were winning so they would make mistakes. The alien commanders looked at each other with growing horror. They were beginning to understand that they had been played from the very beginning. Admiral Kate Sullivan stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance as her fleet emerged from hyperspace. Around her, hundreds of human ships appeared like ghosts, becoming solid. The fleet was massive, far larger than anything the aliens had ever seen from humanity. All ships report ready, Admiral, said Commander Tony Mitchell from his position at the tactical station. His face was calm, but Kate could see the excitement in his eyes. They had been planning this moment for months. Kate looked at the main display screen. It showed the positions of alien fleets across human space. Just as predicted, the coalition forces were in chaos. More than half of their ships had already left to defend their homeworlds. The remaining fleets were scattered and confused. Communications, open a channel to all ships, Kate ordered. Channel open, Admiral. Kate picked up the microphone. Her voice was steady and confident. This is Admiral Sullivan to all human forces. Operation Mirage, Phase 3, is now active. Begin reclamation operations. Across human space, dozens of human fleets appeared simultaneously. They emerged from hidden positions near gas giants, asteroid fields, and nebulae where alien sensors. couldn't detect them. Each fleet was positioned to strike at scattered alien forces. The Zephyrian Hivelord Krikstal was aboard his flagship when the first reports came in. His insect-like form trembled with rage as he listened to his subordinates describe impossible events. "Admiral, human fleets are appearing everywhere," buzzed his communications officer. "They're attacking our forces in the Terra sector, the Proxima system, and the Centauri cluster simultaneously." Krikstal's forearms waved in agitation. "How many ships? What is their fleet strength, unknown admiral? Our remaining scouts report ship numbers that don't match our intelligence. The humans appear to have 3 times the fleet capacity we calculated." Krikstal made a grinding sound of frustration. "It's impossible. We monitored their shipyards. We tracked their construction." "Admiral," another officer interrupted. "We're receiving distress calls from the homeworld. The sabotage attack has spread to 7 shipyards. Fleet production has stopped completely." On his bridge, Krikstal faced an impossible choice. His forces in human space were outnumbered and under attack. His homeworld was crying for help. A coalition that had seemed so strong was falling apart. Meanwhile, Major Ellen Wright was leading the ground assault on the human colony of New Terra. Her soldiers moved through the abandoned streets with precision that shocked the alien defenders. Every human knew exactly where the aliens would be positioned because they had been studying the occupation forces for weeks. "Bravo team, take the communication center," Ellen spoke into her radio. "Charlie team, secure the spaceport. Delta team, move on the command center." The aliens had expected desperate civilians and maybe a few scattered resistance fighters. Instead, they faced professional soldiers who knew their every move before they made it. Sergeant Kyle Brooks led his squad through the government building where the alien commander had set up his headquarters. The hallways were filled with surprised alien soldiers who had never faced organized human military forces. "Contact left," Brooks called out as 3 Zephyrian soldiers rounded a corner. His team moved like they had rehearsed this exact scenario, which they had. They knew the layout of every building, the position of every defensive point, and the weakness of every alien weapon. The Zephyrians raised their energy weapons, but Brooks' team was already in cover. Human weapons fired with precise timing. The aliens went down before they could return fire. "Building secure," Brooks reported. "No human casualties." Similar scenes played out across dozens of worlds. Human forces retook their colonies with an efficiency that seemed impossible. The aliens had expected desperate last stands and costly battles. Instead, they found themselves facing an enemy that fought like they had been planning every move. For months, Dr. Lisa Park was monitoring communications from her station on the Defiance. Her screen showed intercepted alien transmissions from across the galaxy. The psychological warfare aspect of the operation was working perfectly. "Admiral," she called to Kate, "we're seeing the behavioral breakdown we predicted. The coalition species are starting to blame each other." Kate walked over to Lisa's station. "Show me." Lisa pulled up a transmission from a Vorthok commander. The crystal being's voice was full of anger. "Zephyrian incompetence has compromised our entire operation. Their security failures allowed human infiltration of all homeworlds." Another transmission showed an Xari leader accusing the Vorthok of poor planning. Mathematical models failed to account for human deception capabilities. Vorthok calculations were obviously flawed. A third transmission revealed Zephyrian anger at their allies. Coalition partners provided inadequate intelligence on human psychology. Their cultural assessments were completely wrong. "They're doing exactly what we hoped," Lisa said with satisfaction. "Instead of working together to solve the crisis, they're fighting among themselves." Kate nodded. "Fear makes people stupid. It makes aliens even stupider." On the bridge of his flagship, Krikstal was trying to coordinate a response to the human attacks. But every time he gave orders to one species, another species would argue or suggest different tactics. The coalition that had worked so well when they were winning was crumbling under pressure. "We need to regroup our forces," Krikstal buzzed. To his allies, the Vorthok admiral's crystal form flickered with disagreement. "Mathematical analysis indicates retreat to defensive positions. Offensive operations are no longer viable." The Nexari commander's gas form swirled with artistic indignation. "Retreat is ugly. We must create beautiful victory from this chaos." While the alien leaders argued, Human forces continued their coordinated assault. Commander Tony Mitchell coordinated the space battles from his position on the Defiance. His tactical display showed alien fleets trying to respond to attacks from multiple directions. "Admiral, the Zephyrian Third Fleet is moving to engage our forces near New Terra," Tony reported. "What's their strength?" Kate asked. 40 ships, but they're moving without support. The Vorthok fleet that was supposed to back them up is heading home to deal with the crystal contamination." Kate smiled. "Send Commodore Rachel Stone's task. Force to intercept. Tell her to make it quick and messy." Within an hour, the Zephyrian Third Fleet was gone. Rachel's ships had ambushed them near an asteroid field, using tactics the aliens had never seen before. The human ships fought like they knew exactly how Zephyrian vessels would react to every maneuver. Similar victories were happening throughout human space. Alien fleets that had seemed unstoppable were being defeated by smaller human forces that fought with impossible coordination and knowledge. Captain Peter Hayes commanded the liberation of the colony world New Boston. His fleet arrived to find the alien occupying force in complete disarray. The Nexari ships were trying to create artistic battle formations, while their Korgan allies wanted to charge straight into combat. "Target the command ship," Peter ordered. "Let's end this quickly." The human ships moved in perfect formation, their weapons targeting the alien flagship with devastating precision. The Nexari commander never had a chance to create his beautiful battle. His ship exploded in a burst of fire that was anything but artistic. Back on New Denver, Jake Morrison was watching his alien captors receive more and more desperate reports. The Zephyrian commander's black eyes were wide with panic. Vorthek's crystal body flickered rapidly. The Nexari spun like a broken machine. "This cannot be happening," the Zephyrian said. Human military capacity was calculated at minimal levels. Jake was feeling stronger now, his injuries forgotten in the excitement of seeing his plan work. "You calculated what we wanted you to calculate. You saw what we wanted you to see. You believed what we wanted you to believe." Amy Carter was helping Jake stand as more explosions shook the building. Through the windows, they could see human ships in the sky. The liberation of New Denver had begun. "How?" the Vorthok demanded. "How did you hide an entire fleet? How did you coordinate these attacks? How did you know our weaknesses?" Jake looked at the alien with something like pity. "Because we're human, we don't just fight wars, we study. Our enemies, we plan for every possibility, and we never, ever give up." The building shook again as human forces landed outside. Jake could hear the sound of human weapons and human voices. His people had come for him. "You made one fatal mistake," Jake continued. "You assumed that because we look emotional and chaotic, we can't think strategically. You thought that because we seemed weak, we actually were weak." The sound of combat was getting closer. The alien guards were backing away from the windows as human soldiers advanced. "The truth is," Jake said as the first human soldiers entered the room, "we're the most dangerous species in the galaxy precisely because we can appear to be something we're not. We can seem defeated while planning victory. We can act weak while growing strong." Lieutenant Amy Carter smiled as she recognized the soldiers who had come to rescue them. They were professionals, well-equipped and confident, not the desperate survivors the aliens had expected to find. "Admiral Sullivan sends her regards," one of the soldiers said to Jake. "She wanted you to know that Phase 4 is about to begin." 6 months later, Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Retribution, the newest and most powerful ship in the human fleet. His injuries from New Denver had healed completely, and his promotion to Admiral had come with command of humanity's most advanced vessel. The ship was built using technology captured from all 12 coalition species. Human engineers had spent months studying alien designs and improving them. The result was a vessel that combined the best ideas from across the galaxy with human innovation. Admiral called Captain Beth Turner from her station. She was young, but skilled, one of the new generation of officers who had risen during the war. "Range sensors are detecting something unusual near the galactic rim." Jake walked to her station. "Kind of unusual?" Beth pulled up the sensor readings on her screen. "It's massive energy signatures. Ships, but not like anything in our database. They're bigger than anything the Coalition ever built. Jake studied the readings. Ships were indeed massive, each one the size of a small city. Their energy patterns were completely unknown, suggesting technology far beyond what humanity had encountered before. How many ships? Jake asked. At least 50 that we can detect. But Admiral, there might be more. These readings are from the edge of our sensor range. Jake felt a familiar tingle of excitement. During the war with the Coalition, he had learned to recognize moments when everything was about to change. This felt like one of those moments. Send a message to Admiral Sullivan. Tell her we need to meet. 2 hours later, Jake was sitting in the conference room aboard the UES Defiance with Kate Sullivan and her senior staff. The holographic display showed the mysterious energy signatures detected near the rim. Fleet intelligence has been tracking these signals for 3 weeks, said Colonel Ryan Hayes. We think they belong to something called the Hegemony. Dr. Lisa Park touched her tablet, and new information appeared on the display. During our interrogation of Coalition prisoners, several mentioned the Hegemony. Apparently it's a vast empire that controls territory beyond the galactic rim. Kate leaned forward in her chair. What do we know about them? Not much, Lisa admitted. The Coalition species were terrified of them. According to our prisoners, the Hegemony is ancient and powerful. They've been watching galactic civilization for thousands of years. Jake studied the tactical display, and now they're moving toward us. It appears so, Ryan confirmed. The energy signatures are definitely heading in our direction. Estimated. Arrival in our territory is 3 months. Kate was quiet for a long moment, thinking. Finally, she spoke. The Coalition was afraid of them. Terrified, Lisa repeated. The Zephyrian prisoners said the only reason the Coalition formed was because they were all afraid of the Hegemony. They thought that if they controlled human space, they would be strong enough to resist whatever was coming. Jake began to smile. So the Coalition was running scared from these Hegemony people. They attacked us because they needed our territory to feel safe. That's what it looks like, Ryan agreed. Jake's smile grew wider. And now we've destroyed the Coalition. We've taken their technology, captured their worlds, and scattered their fleets. We've basically done the Hegemony's work for them. Kate understood what Jake was thinking. You think the Hegemony is coming to thank us? I think the Hegemony is coming to see what kind of species could destroy 12 alien civilizations in 6 months, Jake replied. I think they want to meet the new power in the galaxy. Dr. Park pulled up more information on her tablet. There's something else. During our analysis of Coalition technology, we found references to something called the Hegemony Assessment Protocol. It seems like a standard procedure for evaluating new species. What kind of evaluation? Kate asked. Combat effectiveness, technological capability, strategic thinking, and cultural adaptability, Lisa read from her notes. Basically, they test whether a species is worth their attention. Jake stood up and walked to the window. Outside, he could see human ships patrolling. The system. 6 months ago, humanity had appeared to be on the verge of extinction. Now, they controlled the largest fleet in known space. The Coalition thought they were conquering us, Jake said. But we were really taking an entrance exam, Kate joined. Him at the window. And we passed with flying colors. More than that, Jake continued. We didn't just defeat 12 species. We outsmarted them, outplanned them, and outfought them using their own technology against them. We turned their greatest strength, their alliance, into their greatest weakness. Ryan walked over to them. So what do we do when the Hegemony arrives? Jake turned back to face the room. We do what humans do best. We prepare for something we've never faced before, and we make sure we're ready for whatever they throw at us. 3 weeks later, Captain Beth Turner was leading a scouting mission near the rim when her sensors detected the first Hegemony ship. It was enormous, easily 10 times the size of the largest Coalition vessel. Its design was unlike anything in human databases, sleek and organic-looking. Admiral Morrison, she called over the communication system. I need to see this. Jake's image appeared on her screen. What have you found, Captain? A Hegemony ship, sir? It's just sitting there? At the edge of the system, not moving, not scanning, just waiting. Jake studied the sensor readings Beth was transmitting. Ship's energy signature was massive, but it wasn't powering weapons or shields. It seemed to be in a passive observation mode. "Any attempts at communication?" Jake asked. "Negative, sir. They're not responding to any of our signals." Jake made a decision. "I'm coming out there. Keep monitoring them, but don't take any aggressive actions." 6 hours later, Jake arrived in the system aboard the Retribution. The Hegemony ship was still there, silent and waiting. It was beautiful in a way that made human ships look crude by comparison. Its hull seemed to flow like liquid metal, and strange lights pulsed along its surface. Admiral Beth reported from her ship nearby. "The alien vessel is powering up something. Energy readings are increasing." Jake watched his tactical display as the Hegemony ship's systems came online. But instead of weapons, the ship was activating communication arrays. "We're receiving a transmission," his communications officer announced. "Put it through." The main screen filled with the image of a being unlike any the humans had encountered. It was tall and graceful, with features that seemed both alien and strangely familiar. When it spoke, its voice was calm and measured. "I am Envoy 12 of the Hegemony Council. We have been observing your recent activities with interest." Jake stepped forward. "I'm Admiral Morrison of the United Earth Fleet. We're pleased to meet you." The alien's expression might have been a smile. "Your species has exceeded our initial assessments." The destruction of the Coalition was accomplished with remarkable efficiency. "You were testing us," Jake said. "It wasn't a question. A manner of speaking. The Coalition species were ... problematic. They had grown aggressive and expansionist. Yes. We allowed them to encounter your species to see how both groups would respond to conflict." "Yes." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. "You knew they would attack us. You knew they would try. Whether they would succeed was the question we needed answered." The alien paused. "They did not succeed." Beth's voice came through Jake's earpiece. "Admiral, I'm detecting more ships. Dozens of them coming out of hyperspace." Jake looked at his tactical display. Hegemony vessels were appearing throughout the system, each one massive and powerful. But their weapons remained offline. This was a show of strength, not an attack. "Your species has demonstrated something rare in this galaxy," the envoy continued. "The ability to appear weak while being strong, the capacity to turn disadvantage into advantage, the wisdom to learn from your enemies and use their knowledge against them." Jake began to understand. "You're recruiting us?" The alien's smile became more obvious. "The galaxy is larger than your species currently knows. Beyond the rim lie threats that make the Coalition appear insignificant. The Hegemony has protected galactic civilization for millennia, but we do not do so alone. You want humanity to join you? You want humanity to help us? Your species has shown capabilities that we value highly. Strategic thinking, adaptability, and the most important quality of all, which is the ability to win wars that others consider unwinnable." Jake looked around his bridge at his crew. They were all listening intently, understanding that the moment would shape humanity's future. "What would joining the Hegemony involve?" Jake asked. "Partnership, not servitude. Your species would maintain its independence while contributing to the greater defense of galactic civilization. You would have access to technologies and knowledge beyond your current understanding." Right. Jake thought about everything humanity had been through. The apparent defeat, the secret planning, the careful deception, and the ultimate victory. It had all been preparation for this moment. "We'll need to discuss this with our leadership," Jake said. "Of course, we will wait for your decision." The envoy paused. "But know this, Admiral Morrison. The galaxy is about to become far more dangerous than it has been. The Coalition was merely the first challenge. Greater threats are stirring in the darkness between galaxies.